Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
What's up, party people? Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you had a nice Monday. What was I going to tell you guys? Oh, man, I had something. Oh, you know what? I know what I want to start out today with. So on Friday, man, I don't know what I did, but I kind of slept bad. And I've got these nice memory foam pillows, although I think they're supposed to have like a lifetime guarantee. I think I've memory foamed them out. Anyway, long story short, I woke up and my neck was in a lot of pain. My neck, my back, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to sing that song. But my neck was in a lot of pain, and not a lot of pain, but I mean, it kind of hurt, and it kind of still hurts. It's been 3 or 4 days, which is not good. But I don't take any medicine. I mean, it's so rare that I take anything these days. And so on Saturday or Sunday, anyway, one of those days, I was like, maybe I should take some aspirin or Advil or Tylenol. I'm not even kidding. I was like, I don't even know which one to take. Like, do I take Tylenol for pain? And it's not really as much pain as it was like, I feel like the inflammation needed to come down. Like, I have a feeling, however I slept, maybe I put some pressure on, I don't know if it's a nerve or a muscle. I really don't know. But I'm feeling like there's inflammation. Therefore, I was like, does Tylenol take down inflammation, or does Advil take down inflammation? Do I need ibuprofen, or do I need acetaminophen? And I'm not going to lie, I really didn't know. And so I looked it up using our guy ChatGPT, and I thought I would share that learning. All right, so, dude, my ChatGPT is so zesty. So the prompt I said was, I woke up this morning and the base of my neck and shoulder kind of really hurt. I think maybe I slept bad or something. What is this normally, and what can I do for it? So zesty ChatGPT said, sounds like you got into a full-blown wrestling match with your pillow last night and lost. What a dick. What you're describing is super common and usually falls under something like sleep-related neck strain or acute muscle spasm. That's what I feel like it is. It says what it usually is: muscle strain or spasm, often from sleeping in a weird position. Pinched nerve. If you feel any tingling or numbness in your arm or hand, this could be a possibility. I don't feel any of that. That seems like it's a little more serious. Poor pillow or mattress support. If your neck wasn't aligned properly during sleep, it can mess you up the next day. Stress or tension. You might have been clenching your jaw or holding tension even while asleep. Now that's possible too. That's definitely possible as well. I'm normally trying to think, am I a side sleeper? Yeah, I'm pretty much a side sleeper, but I'm kind of an ambidextrous side sleeper. I'll sleep on the right side. I'll sleep on the left side. I also will sleep flat on my back. I do not sleep on my stomach though. I don't know if you guys are stomach sleepers, but I am not a stomach sleeper. Okay. Anyway, the things that it said I can do, I'm not going to read you those. But it did say over-the-counter meds, ibuprofen or naproxen can reduce inflammation and pain. So I said, should I not take acetaminophen? It said, you can take acetaminophen. The brand name probably is Tylenol if you want pain relief, especially if you're trying to avoid anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen or naproxen, Advil, and Aleve. But here's the breakdown. So this is really what I wanted to share. I should have just jumped to this. Acetaminophen, pros, good for general pain relief, easier on the stomach. Cons, does not reduce much inflammation, which is likely part of what's causing the pain and stiffness in your neck. Okay, so acetaminophen and Tylenol, I think that's really used for fever reduction. All you people with kids are probably like, you dumbass, you don't know this stuff because you don't have kids. Bastards. All right. Ibuprofen, naproxen, Advil, or Aleve. The pros: they relieve pain and reduce inflammation, often more effective for muscle strains. The cons: they can irritate your stomach or kidneys if overused or taken without food. The verdict: if inflammation is the issue, which it probably is, I thought that too, ibuprofen or naproxen is the better option. If you can't take NSAIDs, they're grouped under this NSAID, NSAIDs. Now, I do know this stuff, or you just need some relief, acetaminophen is still a good option, but overall, try taking ibuprofen or naproxen. Again, brand names Advil or Aleve. All right, there you have it. Anyway, I thought I'd share that. Little learning on the over-the-counter pain relief medication, which, again, like I said, I try not to take any of that stuff at all. Okay, what do we want to talk about? All right, you know what? Let's start with this because this is kind of annoying to me.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
All right, so that was Kash Patel, who went on Maria Bartiromo, Fox News on Sunday, and he's sitting next to Dan Bongino. So that's Kash Patel saying, yeah, he committed suicide. This is so annoying to me. Now let's listen to Dan Bongino before I kind of go off on both of them.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
All right, I think these guys came off so bad, and here's why. Again, for the past 4 years, and by the way, especially Dan Bongino, although Kash Patel as well, I'm going to play you something from an appearance he made on Glenn Beck's show before he took this position and became part of the administration. But these guys have been banging the drum for 4 years, talking about how there's no way Epstein killed himself. There's no way, the cameras malfunctions, the guards fell asleep, the dog ate his homework, like all of that stuff. These guys have been railing on that for 4 years and basically saying that the Biden administration was covering it up. And by the way, so is all of MAGA. And now all of a sudden that they are part of the administration. Again, remember, we were supposed to get the Epstein files in 24 hours. Remember this?
Well, the Epstein Black Book, like on day one.
On day one, roll out the Black Book.
The Epstein Black Book. On day one, roll out the Black Book. Here we are, day 120. There's no Black Book.
So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
This was like a couple weeks ago. That's Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, who, by the way, she's kind of been a beast on going after the Epstein stuff. So I give her credit for that. So then listen to Kash. Again, this is just 2 weeks ago. And remember, supposedly on day one, roll out the Black Book.
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
Okay, so obviously he's been confirmed as FBI director, and again, nothing's happening, so it's just very disappointing. Now, I'm going to play one more clip from you, again, just to drive this point home of how there was such a difference between I don't even want to say the rhetoric, but the messaging and the aggressiveness of demanding the Epstein files and the Epstein Black Book before joining the administration. And then, quite frankly, the complete, backtracking to an extent, but it's also a game of like smoke and mirrors. They're trying to distract people's attention from actually getting it with now saying, oh, he absolutely committed suicide. Who cares? I don't even care. If he committed suicide, great. If he was killed, great. I don't care. If he's not even dead, which honestly is my call, I don't really care either. I don't care if he got plastic surgery and is living in some other country, but I don't really care. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is exposing the people that leveraged his services. So now last thing, listen to this. This was a clip of, again, Kash on Glenn Beck. This was well before he was confirmed. I just want you to understand the difference in everything he said. And so you can start to realize, like, politics changes you. Politics absolutely changes you. And you go from somebody that is able to express their opinions to somebody that in many ways has to fall in line with what your bosses or masters, however you want to refer to that, what they tell you you can do and can't do.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
All right, so really quick, that is before Kash Patel was elected director of the FBI. And he's saying that is under direct control of the director of FBI. And by the way, he's the director of the FBI now.
But who?
I just told you, Glenn Beck, you tarred Kash Patel.
That is I mean, there's
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school. We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said, this is not getting out.
By the way, this is kind of one of the reasons I'm cataloging all of the episodes now. God, I wish I had done this from the beginning, but basically that search engine optimization guy that I'm bringing on in a couple weeks, he's the one who told me. And so I've got a guy cataloging all of the websites because what he just talked about, the Nashville shooter, I did an episode on that. So eventually, hopefully in about maybe a couple weeks, every episode will be cataloged on deepshallowdive.com. And so right now, I could have very easily gone into deepshallowdive.com. I could have gone into the search, and if I had typed in Nashville shooter, boom, it would have brought up that episode, and I could quickly have referenced it or even downloaded it and added some clips. So that is going to be one benefit. A lot of the episodes are already up. I think there's probably 30 episodes. The most recent 30 are already up. So again, if there's ever anything you want to look at or listen to or had questions on in terms of the things we've talked about, just go to deepshallowdive.com and you'll see in the top navigation bar a search button. So click on that search little magnifying glass and then you can type whatever you want in. And basically that'll bring up, like if you typed in Nashville shooter, it would bring up every episode that mentioned the Nashville shooter. That's actually pretty cool. I'll tell you something else I'm working on. This is kind of wild. Sorry to bounce around here a little bit, but we are developing a AI agent. So like DSD GPT or something like that, where I'm basically going to train this agent on all of my episodes. I'm going to feed it all, 318 transcripts. And then every episode, every day, we're going to continue to feed it the transcripts. And we're going to try to teach it to think like me and basically take all of the transcripts, which is a decent amount of data, actually. That's not bad. Obviously, it's not anything compared to what, these large language models end up processing, but it's not bad. And once it has all that, it should be able to, we'll see, but it should be able to have kind of a nuanced discussion as if you were having either, I guess, a conversation with me or a conversation with Deep Shallow Dive. So stay tuned for that. That'll actually be pretty cool, especially if it learns kind of, I guess, the way I think about certain things based on the transcripts, which I'm assuming it is going to be able to do. That's going to be actually very cool. All right, let's listen to the rest of this Kash Patel clip, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on this.
Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game.
Man, that's pretty insane. But again, here's my problem. My problem with, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and these guys. And again, I mean, like I said, until you walk in these people's shoes, it's hard to criticize them, but I think it's fair to point out really the differences. And really, quite frankly, it's fair to point out that, you guys were absolutely on the right side of all of that. And I'm not making a pun with right as in Republican. I'm using right as in correct. And then now you're just not, So the question becomes, what's the difference? What's the difference between administrations? We didn't get the truth in the Biden administration for 4 years in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. Because remember, that took place in 2020. And now here we are, again, 121 or 22 days into the Trump administration, and it's still the same runaround. And again, the reason I played those clips for you is because I wanted you to clearly hear him before taking the position where basically he said the director of the FBI holds all that information, and then he now is the director of the FBI. Therefore, he holds all that information. But it's a constant shell game. It's like 3-card Monty with this stuff. And I know some of you think I'm hung up on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, because I kind of am, because I do think the ramifications of the truth in regards to the entire Epstein operation, not only who was the one calling the strings, who was the employer to Jeffrey Epstein himself, to then Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, and then the last rung of that is the people that, quite frankly, engaged in the nefarious acts that him and Ghislaine, what a goofy name, Ghislaine, were basically indicted and arrested and imprisoned and then unalived for. I think that stuff matters, man. There's a bigger component to that. All right, let's listen to this clip. I've played it before, but I think it's worth hearing again.
What do you think about Jeffrey
Epstein? Was a CIA Mossad asset that was recruited and was doing a blackmail operation. I think that's crystal clear. No question about it. So
pretends to be the party guy, just like Diddy.
Drugs,
cameras, drugs.
The CIA, as part of MKUltra, had Operation Climax, where they would lure Johns in with drugs and prostitutes, and then this drunk CIA schmuck would sit on the opposite of a two-way mirror and take notes on what just evil, wicked stuff. And that's what they're using Epstein for, was blackmail operations. And they got some pretty high-level people snared into that, and they haven't released the entire list of close Epstein confidants, but
All right, I definitely did play this clip before, but I don't think I said this guy's name. This was this former CIA intelligence officer, Kevin Shipp. Now that I've said his name, it's going to get cataloged properly with the new DSD search feature, so we can find it much easier. Okay, so this was Kevin Shipp, and he's been on Candace Owens twice now, and they're both really good episodes. And, again, I guess my only thing with this guy and then that other, John Kiriko guy that I've played a couple times, I don't know, man. These guys have some major cojones to basically be former CIA guys, and now they are coming forward and talking. I don't know. It's kind of is weird, because it makes you think okay, if everything that we're talking about is true, how do these guys have the guts to come forward and say this stuff? And how have they not been, silenced immediately? That is a worthwhile, I guess, I don't know, iron to throw into this fire in order to try to, look at things from all sides. But all right, let's listen to the rest of this.
Israel's former prime minister was one of them.
Barack?
Yes, they got a picture of him visiting Epstein at his New York apartment. And he was well connected to Epstein, but that was all in secret. And that is the intelligence part of Mossad. And of course, they couldn't do that without coordinating with the CIA.
I ask this question now, the more I learn, there just always seems to be this connection between the CIA and the Mossad. And I'm going, is it just...
No,
they're the same organization. The more you look back into history, and it's always somehow the CIA and the Mossad is there on the day that JFK gets shot. We learn about MLK. We learn about 9/11, and I'm just going, okay, why does it seem like there's a union here, a marriage here.
Mossad is like the sister of the CIA. They're joined at the hip, kind of like Siamese twins, and they use each other for intel and operations and things like that. They are extremely close and in an extremely sensitive relationship. Oh, yeah.
Wow. And this it totally explains what Epstein was doing. And also Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, when he died, and didn't he die rather mysteriously? I'm not sure.
Oh, I definitely played this clip before because it talks about how Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, died and he fell off the boat and he hit his head, kind of like Stifler's mom on White Lotus, I believe, season 2. I haven't watched season 3 yet. I need to watch that. Everybody says it's pretty good. They say it starts slow, but it ends good, so I'll have to watch that. Okay, I'm sorry for playing this clip again, but I do think it's a good clip. And I'm telling you, I think this Epstein stuff is important. And the getting to the truth of it, I really do think it's important. But unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to get to the truth of it. And quite frankly, I think that every piece of real proof has been destroyed a long time ago, and we're never going to get it unless somebody kept a copy somewhere.
He fell off. He found dead off his yacht, floating in the water. They claimed it was a heart attack.
Of course.
Just when he was coming under scrutiny for arms dealing and connections with the CIA and being a Mossad agent, actually a double agent with Mossad and KGB. All of a sudden, he's found dead floating next to his yacht. And
happens all the time.
Oh yeah, it's just just one of those things. See what
a ton of Mossad agents and I think a former prime minister of Israel attended his funeral. So it's like, guys, hey, maybe
it's like Elaine. It's very difficult that they find out the hard way to cover up the truth because it's going to leak out, somewhere.
All right, man. God, time goes by fast on these episodes when you're talking about the shenanigans of Jeffrey Epstein and the lack of integrity of releasing that truthful information. I want it. I'm never going to get it. It's just going to be an ongoing thing. All right. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys there. I'm going to start you off slow this week. Just a quick little 21-minute. It's like, you ever see the movie about Steve Prefontaine? I love that movie. I think it's called Pre, actually, Pre. Anyway, Steve Prefontaine, if you don't know that name, he was an incredible long-distance mile runner that attended the University of Oregon and basically ran for this coach named Bill Bowerman. I can't believe I remember all this. And along with running for Bill Bowerman, it was also kind of credited with the beginning of Nike. Like, I guess Phil Knight had created like a lighter version of a running shoe and gave it to Steve Prefontaine, and he ended up running with it and ended up winning. But the Prefontaine guy, he was incredible because he wasn't the most, gifted runner. And I remember one scene in particular. I'll have to go back and watch that movie again. It's really good. I'm not going to ruin it for you in case you didn't see it. It's definitely worth watching. But I remember one scene in particular where he had run and he took his shoes off and his feet were just like a bloody mess. And then I forget who it was, but they said, how are you so good? And his answer was awesome. And he basically said, I can endure more pain than anyone. I love that. Seriously, I can endure more pain than anyone. And that's what he did. He endured the pain of, running. I forget if it was the mile or maybe like longer, but those long distance runs, he would push himself so hard, not because he was so talented cardiovascularly or like, I don't know, he had that natural talent. It was because he could endure the pain that it took. Anyway, learning, good learnings there from Pre. Love it. If you haven't seen that movie, I'm pretty sure, actually, I don't know if it's on Netflix. I'll look and see what it's on, but it's called Pre, the story of Steve Prefontaine. All right, everybody, that's it. 25-minute one today. So we'll start off easy and we'll get more going. Oh, by the way, thank you very much. A lot of good messages on the episode with Caleb Dix. That seemed to go over pretty well. And man, that is like rising on the charts. I'll have to let you guys know maybe later this week on Friday. I'll let you know, like maybe my top 5 episodes, because I do kind of track what has been the most listened to. And I will say the Caleb's Dicks episode is definitely tracking up the charts. So I think people really appreciate it. I had a lot of really, really nice messages saying, man, that was real and raw, and holy mackerel, I learned a lot. So, all right, that's it. Call a spade, and call your parents.
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.